Strawberry, and today we're going to be looking at different kinds of fiber, how to prepare that fiber on a blending board, roll out some rolags, and then bring it back to a spinning wheel to spin. But don't worry, we're not using dog fiber, we're going to be using sheep fiber today. When we first look at fiber arts, it's really important to start at fiber. Before we get to the spinning wheel, before we get to a blending board, we need to know a few things about the fiber that we're working with. And so when we start with fiber, it's easiest to begin with sheep wool. And that's what I have here. This is comb topped, which means that it was combed with big teeth combs, and it was what's called dizzed off into even fibers. And so you can see that all of the fibers are going the same exact direction, and that just makes it much easier to spin. And when you take this raw wool, you're able to potentially dye it and blend it with other colors. And so here I have a variety of colors that I've dyed. And so it all started this color, but with dyes and changing the pH, I was able to dye it to achieve a variety of colors. Now there's not just sheep wool, there's a variety of other kinds of wool, like from plants. We have flax here. Flax comes from a plant, and when you spin it and make clothing, it's actually linen. You also have silk. Silk comes from worms. And I actually dyed this silk, and it's very, very soft, but if you want a silk garment, it needs to come from silk fiber. And you also have plastics, like your Angelina fiber, which is just a nice little sparkle to add to your wool, or even Firestar, which is another really shiny, sparkly texture that feels just a little bit more like a wool versus a plastic. This is thinner than the Angelina. A blending board like this one is a great place to start as a beginner fiber artist. You're able to take your variety of colors of wool, load it onto the blending board, and create something called a rolag. A rolag is much easier to spin from than your traditional roving. And so as a beginner, it's a really nice place to go to be able to create your own color patterns while also spinning it much easier. And so I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate how I make my own rolags on my blending board. So I like to get my fiber preset so that I have a little bit of time saved when I go ahead and go to make my rolag. And so you can see here that I have a variety of colors, and I just start loading up the board in whatever color pattern that I'm interested in. And so you put one end of the fiber in, and you just drag it down, you let the teeth catch it, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you have a little bit extra on the bottom. That will come in handy later when we go to actually remove this rolag. It's time to pull it off, and so you take one dowel on the bottom, one dowel on the top, put them together, roll up, and draft, which means I pull away. And so I'm going to go ahead and roll this rolag right off. And now we get it off, and we start by pushing it off, one dowel out, and this is a finished rolag. As I stated before, rolags are much easier to spin than roving. All you need to do is pull from the center add it to your yarn, and spin away. You'll notice that the rolag wool wants to draft very evenly, very easily. So it's very, very easy to spin, especially as a beginner. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about roving, how to use a blending board, and how to spin your rolags. Happy spinning!